And when I'm working in Dayton, and we have this group of boys, about 60 of them, 27 of them have daddies in prison. So mama's talking about, you're going to be just like your daddy, or you better act like a man. We thought it was critical to give mama some skills on how to work with this teenager. How many of you all have teenage boys? Or had them? Come on. Okay, well, you know they are difficult. They're not like girls. I mean, you understand? Okay, so you've got, I mean, just sort of compounded. Okay, I would imagine that most of those that raised their hands, their kids were doing pretty good in school in terms of attainment of basic skills. So you have this baby that, you know, he's suffered in school because he can't read very well, and he can't do this, and he's got a peer group that is cutting school all the time and says, man, why are you going? Why are you even studying? And so then he's hollering at mama because he's, whatever. All those kind of scenarios, so we thought it was critical that we give the parent some kind of skill set to work with this 15 or 14-year-old boy. How do you work with him? Moving on, we thought it was critical that we deal with cultural competency with teachers. How do you take a lesson plan and make it culturally sensitive? How do you make it so, and then how do you relate to boys? So we contracted with Central State University that provides for principals and teachers. It's been a wonderful experience to come down for a 2-day workshop, and then Central State follows up with filming the teachers and lesson plans and evaluating them, online kind of stuff. It's been really exciting. To how do they change how they teach so they can, in fact, relate to these boys. And things, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that's going on with black boys. The research talks about the whole issue of teachers treating black boys very differently, starting at age 4, in terms of prejudiceness and also fear. So these things, we can't solve the problem until we recognize and admit that it's going on. So that's what this whole cultural competency is about. We thought it was critical that we give the kids a vision of what could be. As I talked about this social construction of hope, we thought it was critical that they see, when you say, what do you want to be? What do you want to do? Where do you want to go? And if they've seen nothing, what we talk about is a 6-block radius of awareness. Auntie living here, grandma living here. When my husband was teaching at Wilson Junior High, and he talked about one of the kids that had not visited, didn't know, hadn't seen Lake Erie. And Wilson Junior High is maybe a mile from Lake Erie. So if they don't have the vision of what they want to be, so field trips is critical. And when we took some of the boys to Morehouse graduation, they'd already established this pen pal relationship with these seniors that were graduating. It happened to be that Reverend Moss was doing the keynote speech, the graduation speech, so it was just compounded and compounded. It was just great for them. But for them to see these African-American men walk across that stage and graduate, and these were kids from Martin Luther King and East High and so on, just to see that vision of what was possible. So field trips are integral to this whole thing. I see a punch here of a cultural exchange. We thought it was critical to have book clubs for our boys. So they're throughout the state. And those book clubs are, and it's, I forget how he uses the expression, but it's not about fear. Now understand, if they're reading below proficient, and you want them to, first of all, love books, love them, well, you need to have a book club where they can look at a book and love it and talk about it. So, and the books sort of escalate as they go along in that program. Exciting. I see Reverend Cavanis and his group there. We thought it was critical that the church community be involved in terms of actually doing some of the parenting piece, because some of the parents don't want to go to school. Yeah, I ain't going to school. Why am I going to school? Everybody talking down to me. That kind of thing. So we said, how do we reach parents beyond just that school? We've got to reach them in other kind of ways. We have what is called a graduation action team. This is not in your folder, but let me just back up to one important ingredient in terms of how do we make sure this happens. each school is mandated to hire what is called a linkage coordinator. And we thought it was critical that that happened, as opposed to giving the money to the school and saying, okay, they then say, well, can the social worker do it for 2 hours, the nurse do it for another 2 hours, maybe we have a good teacher that wants to volunteer their time. We thought we'd make it mandatory for them to hire a linkage coordinator, and that's placed in each high school. That person is responsible for linking all of this stuff. And we talk about socio-emotional concerns. Kid can't learn if he's angry, so we got to figure out what that's all about. And then we talk about the academic and the lack of skill set. So we're trying to hit it in both ways. And we have this data sheet. You can look at it afterwards. But it basically charts. They have what is called the Graduation Action Team, which could be, it's basically the school that looks at it and says, okay, do I need a probation officer on my graduation action team? Do I need a Jerry Burns friendly in terms of there? Do I certainly need a social worker? Who else? Community and school work together and look at Johnny's stuff. If he's missed a day or a run of 2 or 3 days of school, then the question is, why is he absent? Is he absent because he's babysitting? Is he absent because he worked last night? Is he absent because he's just disengaged? So they're on top of that. They mandate meet every week to go over Johnny's progress, summer bridge programs, and so on. But I want to end with some good news. This last year was the first year we did this. And basically it's intense. When those boys come into the school, you got the linkage coordinator meeting them. Some schools have started breakfast clubs, so just to talk them down from the pressures of leaving their home to walking to school. It could be gangs, it could be whatever. Just so they have a breakfast club, just to sort of get them excited about school and get them refocused. And some schools have moved to single gender in terms of math and reading. So all kinds of ways that Cleveland Public Schools, Cincinnati, Columbus, Dayton, Akron, Youngstown, Toledo have begun to look at this and really focus on this 9th grade boy. Here's the good news. Last year, I'm going to give you Cleveland stuff. I'm so proud of it. Last year in Cleveland, in fact, the school that had the 29% graduation rate was East High School. The city of Cleveland, or Cleveland Public Schools, now have gotten a gem of a principal in there. And there's been some consistency in that school. But let's look at East High. This is what's called a report card for the end of last year. They went from in 2006, 2007, a 34% promotion rate from the 9th grade to the 10th grade. Because of our program, they went to a 77.7% promotion rate from the 9th grade to the 10th grade. I think another one that just sort of blows my socks off is John F. Kennedy. It went from a 28.6% the previous year of our program in terms of promotion rate to a 85.1% promotion rate in our program. So clearly, what I hear is care about me, love me, I matter, I mean something. From the entire school building. The linkage coordinator provides some of that, but retraining, retooling the teachers is another piece of that. It's possible. It's possible. And we're trying to fulfill the governor's wishes of no more throwaway kids. I thank you.